Hey guys, welcome back to another lesson on personal finance from me, YTMoney Nerd. So far we've covered realistic expectations of your financial journey, credit card debt, and savings. For those of you who have watched the first few videos, thank you, and I hope you've learned some new and helpful things that you didn't know before. If you haven't seen the first few videos, I'll throw in the link below. Okay, so now is a great time to take the opportunity to talk about budgeting. We just finished talking about savings, so now we want to figure out whether or not we're actually saving each month and how much we're either saving or losing. Once we know this, we can figure out how to start making adjustments to be able to reach our savings goals. If you ask most people how much money they put away in savings each month, they probably would have a rough estimate, but they probably wouldn't know too well how much they're spending on specific things. If you don't know how much you're spending on all the things you buy, how are you going to be able to optimize your spending habits to save? Furthermore, if you don't know how much you're saving, how are you supposed to plan your savings goals? Being able to properly plan is going to be the key to achieving your goals. So now this video is going to be a little more interactive. What you're going to want to do is start putting pen to paper and just start writing out what your income sources are, as well as all of the things that you spend your money on in a month. You can do this with literally a pen and paper, or you can do it electronically with a computer. You really don't need anything fancy. Even just putting everything into the basic text editor that comes with your computer is enough. To help you out, I've gone ahead and made a spreadsheet specifically for budgeting and published it at the link below. This is a great tool I've put together that will really simplify this exercise and do all the math for you if you just enter in your personal income and expenditure information. And as long as you have a Google account, it's totally free to use. Okay, so if you'd like to use the spreadsheet I've provided, go ahead and click the link in the description to go to the spreadsheet in Google Sheets. This is what you should see once you get signed into Google Sheets. I'm going to click on Make a Copy first from the File menu dropdown. I have the permissions set to restrict anybody from going and editing my master spreadsheet. This is so nobody can go and edit the sheet, and also to make sure that you're forced to make your own private copy so you aren't going and sharing your finances with the rest of the world. Here you can just go ahead and name it whatever you want. So I'll go ahead and just rename it to My Budget and save it to my drive. So now I have the spreadsheet pulled up here, and you can see that I have this organized into 4 different steps. If you look at the tabs at the bottom, you can see that we start with income, then go to expenses, then it will show you where your money is going, and finally your budget stats. I've written up instructions throughout the document to help you out and also to explain a few things, but I'm going to just summarize and show you the steps you need to complete. For this first step, you're going to input your income information. It's important here that you enter income after taxes and after deductions. For most of you, this is going to be the number that you see show up in your bank account when your paycheck gets deposited. So here we have the yellow box. It's asking us to select how we'd like to enter our income information. For most people, you can pick bi-weekly or weekly, since the majority of people get paid either once a week or once every other week. If you get paid hourly, just pick your pay frequency and enter in what your paycheck comes out to on average after taxes and deductions. So I'm going to just pick bi-weekly since that's the most common pay period. And I'm just going to make up a number here for demonstration purposes, so we'll put in around $1,000. And I can't stress this enough that you want to make sure that this number you're entering is your take-home pay. Take-home pay is what you receive after taxes and deductions like health insurance or employer-sponsored retirement savings plans. So now this is going to spit out what your income is. These numbers are, again, your take-home pay, not gross pay. So if you're looking at this right now and saying, hey, my yearly income is much higher than this, it's because you're thinking of gross income, which is the number that gets put on an offer letter when you get a job offer. Vice versa, if this number for yearly is the gross pay that you typically think of when you say, I make this much money per year, take another look and make sure that you have your take-home pay entered above. Now, in this section below, I'm just explaining that the way the calendar works, for those of you who get paid bi-weekly or weekly, some months you get an extra paycheck. If you're paid bi-weekly, you get 3 paychecks per month 2 times in the year. While if you're paid weekly, you'll get 5 paychecks either 4 or 5 months in the year. So some months you end up getting paid more than others even if your pay is constant from paycheck to paycheck. Alright, now we're ready to move on to step 2. This is where you're going to just start filling in all of your monthly expenses. I've added the most common categories here, but anything that falls outside, you can just stick in the other categories. In referring back to the last video on savings, I split out other into a non-discretionary other and a discretionary other. As a refresher, non-discretionary is things that you need to pay for, like housing and food, while discretionary is things that are non-essential, like entertainment. Like I had said in the last video, the line can get blurred, but use your best judgment when splitting these out. Also, I'll make a note that I set a lot of categories as discretionary since they can be a mix of both. For example, groceries are necessary since we need to eat, but we also don't need to eat steak and lobster. Same deal with your phone bill, you don't need the latest and most expensive iPhone. Also, in case you didn't know, if you use a credit or debit card to pay for things, it's easy to just go look at your latest statement to find all this information. If you pay cash, it might be best to save your receipts and come back next month to get an accurate gauge of your expenses. So I'm going to go ahead and fill out some numbers here quickly and speed up the video so you don't have to sit through me typing a bunch of numbers. Alright, now that this is filled out, we're going to go to the next tab for step 3. In this tab, we have this first graph which shows a pie chart of all of your spending that you do in a month. This shows how much you're spending on each category as a percentage of all of your spending put together. Generally, you're going to find that housing is your largest cost and therefore has the largest pie slice on this chart. If that's not the case, then you know right away that either you're lucky that your housing costs are low, or more likely, you're probably spending way too much on discretionary expenses. To lay out discretionary expenses a little bit better, we have a second chart beneath this first one that shows specifically discretionary spending. If you need to start trimming expenses, this is the chart you're going to want to look at to see where you should start trying to reduce your spending. Place a higher importance on trimming down the larger slices first, and then start looking at the smaller slices after. So now this brings us to the final step in this tool, which is your budget statistics. Here you can see how much money you're either losing or saving per unit of time. Hopefully you have a nice green box showing that you're saving money and not a red box. Either way, you'll find a message and recommendation below about what you should do. Beneath this recommendation, we have another little tool that lets you simulate what your savings would look like if you cut your monthly expenses or raised your yearly income by an amount you can enter in the yellow boxes. Keep in mind again that for the yearly income, this is a take-home pay number, not gross. A simple conversion that you can do is to take how much you want your gross pay to increase by and multiply that by 0.75. This should be a conservative estimate for most people. There's also a simple tool that will tell you how much time it will take to save up how much money you'd like to save at your current rate. One more thing I want to mention is that there are plenty of other great tools out there that you can use to help you with budgeting and keeping track of your finances. I personally use Mint pretty religiously, which is a great tool to link up all of your bank accounts, credit cards, investment accounts, student loans, you name it. Almost any financial account where you can log in online can be linked right into Mint and show you all of your finances in one central place. The best part about it is that for those of you that are tech savvy and use your phone for everything, they have an app for Apple and Android that you can use to see everything right from your mobile device. The downside to Mint, though, is that if you're paying for things by going to the ATM and pulling out cash, that isn't going to show up in Mint as anything other than ATM withdrawals. In this case, you're still going to want to keep your own budget manually. Don't let this discourage you from using cash to pay for things, though. As we've already learned, we absolutely don't want to start building up credit card debt, and paying for things in cash is a great way to make sure that you're only buying things that you already have the money to pay for. Another great tool is Personal Capital, which is great for showing you your net worth. I haven't talked about net worth yet, but it's basically a metric that adds up all of your assets and subtracts all of your debts to tell you in net how much you're worth. We'll talk more about this in the future, but it's a great metric to keep your eye on to track your progress. You might have liked me to mention these apps at the start of the video before going through all of this, but I think it's important for you to walk through the exercise of creating your own budget at least once. It will directly help you understand where your money is going and what you need to do to start boosting your savings. An app can make things easy, but at the same time, if you have the app do everything for you, you might not actually learn anything. And that's the point of this all, isn't it? To to learn all about personal finance? Alright, well thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video and it's helping you learn about personal finance, please like and subscribe below to be notified when any new videos are released. This is YT Money Nerd signing off.